and thank you very much for watching or listening. Liam Hartree here today with another episode of Presenting Champions, and I'm absolutely buzzing today to be joined by Azi One Bomb Thomas, MMA fighter, bare knuckle boxer, owner and founder of the Peoples Gym. And today we're going to be talking about this man's life, his journey through martial arts with MMA, bare knuckle boxing, the mindset it takes to compete in some of the toughest and most skilled sports in the world. We're going to be talking about the People's Gym and the ethos behind what Azi's doing, a big fight he's got upcoming, a lot of good stuff. So everybody stay tuned. And Champ, thank you for coming on the show, mate. It's awesome to have you here today.
Yeah, business beer, mate. Thank you for having me on.
No worries, no worries. Like I was saying to you, mate, before we started recording, I interviewed Dean a couple of weeks ago. Big shout out to Dean, and he had some very kind words to say about you in the gym. So I just thought, you know what, got to get Azi on the show. So I'm going to start with the fight that you've got that's up and coming. You've got a fight with Gordon the Swan. When is that? Where is that? Tell us about the fight, please.
So that's happening June the 10th in Llandudno, Broadway Boulevard. North Wales, and it's a 15-minute, one round bare knuckle BKB fight for the Welsh 69 kg title. So yeah, something different. It's a new promotion. It's got some good backing, good funding. So I'm expecting them to put on some great shows in the up and coming future. The next one's already booked for September the 2nd. But yeah, this one's a grudge match between me and the Swan, or the Duck, or whatever you want to call him. Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting fight.
Absolutely, it's going to be a cracking fight, and I have to ask now. Obviously, with my interviews, I don't go into anything negative or whatever. I'm all about the positive, me, right? But just as a quick story with the Swan, if this is something you can share, I understand it's personal between you two. Can you share with us a little bit about the backstory, as much or as little as you want to say about it? I don't mind, you know.
Well, look, I just say how it is, you know. So he's been calling me out for a while. Been calling out a few of my fighters and stuff. Just trying to get a bit of clout, I imagine, you know, just trying to get a bit of attention to himself. And then he's basically made a few lies up about me, saying he rescued one of my dogs that I sold to somebody else, you know, a friend of mine. He didn't rescue the dog. He actually stole the dog off this person, which we've got all the proof, and, you know, we'll put that later. But for now, that doesn't really matter. But that's the you know, the backstory of it. So he got my attention by that, making lies up. So I thought, you know, he's trolling me. And at the end of the day, you know, you control people all you like. So I just went off there. You control people all you like, but, you know, I think Mike Tyson says a quote: the internet's got people too comfortable disrespecting people without being punched in the face. Now, this is probably the safest way to do it. This is the legal way to do it. He's a fighter. Well, kind of a fighter. I'm a fighter. This is the only way to do it now. So I'm dealing with a troll, and I want to stand up for people that have business. You can't just accept these people coming and trying to demolish your business and trying to destroy everything you build. So I think this is a good lesson that he will learn, and other trolls on the internet will learn too. You know, there's no one in me beating the Swan. I'll have it right. You know, I've boxed, you know, professional. I've boxed in the Commonwealth Games. I've boxed professional, you know, 5 or 6 years. I've done MMA professional for 5 or 6 years. You know, I've been fighting high elite level guys for a long period of time now. I'm actually retired, but I've come out because of this guy. So this is the story behind it. This is why the grudge is happening. You know, like I say, there will be no honor in me beating him, but at the same time, I want to make a stand, you know, standing for what's right. You know, you can't disrespect people. You can't try and ruin people's lives without having the consequences of dealing with that. And he will deal with that consequence on June the 10th. And that'll be all squashed, and it'll all be done. And I will buy him a pint as long as he, you know, respects what happens on the night. And I'll respect him if the miracle happens and he lands a shot or something, I'll shake his hand still. You know, that's not going to happen, obviously, but, you know, I'll still, you know, shake his hand, because at the end of the day, I'm a warrior, a true fighter, and that's what I think we should be doing. Set an example. This is the best way of doing it. The straight way, not, you know, madness on the streets. I did get in a bit of trouble. I got arrested about 3 months ago. I had a guy hit me with a bat, threatened my kids, and I lost my head. I didn't deal with that in the right way. A lot of people said I did, but at the end of the day, I got arrested and had to go to court, and I got a fine. So that's not the best way of doing it. I wish I'd had dealt with it this way. So yeah, so this is why we're doing it, and this is why I'm here now. So that's the background to the fight. Hopefully that explains it all, and people understand why this is happening.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's a good thing to set the record straight first and foremost, get that out there for anybody who doesn't know. And yeah, I mean, it is, but this is the thing, isn't it? When you're a fighter, you're a role model for a lot of people as well, and for kids and for a lot of people who watch. So yeah, conducting yourself in the right way, it's the best way to settle a beef is, the way you're doing it, 110%. I agree with that advice. Someone hitting you with a bat and then if you hit them, I don't know. I mean, I would say that's probably like just defending yourself, but that's my opinion. I wasn't there, so I don't know. But
Yeah.
anyway, moving on from some of that type of stuff. So obviously, you've achieved a lot in your career, and obviously today we won't necessarily have time to talk about every single fight, although I'd love to. But we'd be here until next week, probably, because there's probably so many stories. So I want to actually go back to the beginning and just touch on where you actually started in the fight game, where you mentioned boxing, you mentioned MMA. I mean, you've done a lot of stuff. If we go all the way back to the beginning of your journey, what initially inspired you to actually become a fighter?
Well, good question. Well, to be honest, I was playing semi-professional football at the time. I was playing for Real in the League of Wales. I was playing semi-professional football, and one of my pals who was in the same team, his uncle owned a local gym, ran a local gym down the road from the football ground. A fella called Eddie Lloyd, an ex-pro boxer with Darryl Ritchie. So I went along there just to keep fit, and then I started sparring, and then I thought, you know what, this is something I really enjoy, so I'm gonna carry on doing it. So I carried on doing it, and then we had a local derby, Vril versus Bangor City. Now this is a massive derby, right, coming up in the League of Wales. Like these great games. But my coach at the time got me a fight booked 2 weeks previously. He says, I got you a fight on this date, but I didn't realise it was going to clash with the same as the game, right? So we're playing Bangor on the Friday night in the League of Wales, big game. And I phoned my manager up and said, look, I've got an injury, I can't play tonight. So I went down the local town hall and ended up having my first boxing fight instead. Like I said, I didn't look back. And then my manager found out, obviously, 2 days later, it's a small town. So what are you doing? Lying to me, saying you're going playing, going boxing. You meant to be playing up front for us. You let me down. I said, no, but I also booked the fight. So I was in a crossroads there. And to be honest, I love boxing now. So I'm going to stick to this. So I stuck to boxing. So that's how it all started. And I didn't look back, really. I didn't look back. Yeah, I just carried on going. So, yeah. And it's probably one thing that's helped me change a lot of my mindset and helped me build the business that I got now and go strong through the pandemic and all that palaver and still keep going now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the pandemic was a rough time, especially for gyms, and I'll come back to that in a minute. But before we do, I would like to just, like I said, I mean, there's too many fights to talk about them all. So focusing on boxing specifically, I was thinking the best way to do this is to hear it in your own words, your favorite moments. Now, I know this is a pretty big question, and this is specifically for boxing because we'll come to the MMA in a moment as well. What were some of your favorite fights, your proudest moments, basically your best memories, when you look back on that aspect of your career now? I think it would be good to hear about that in your own words. Sorry, it's a big question, but in your own words, please, mate, that would be great.
Well, the first one would be winning the ABA Championships, the Welsh title versus Luke Watkins, who's from down your way, South Wales. Very good boxer at the time. Had a little bit of a troublesome life like myself. And that was a great fight. So winning that title is a big honour for me. And, that's on the record book forever. Everyone's a Welsh champion now these days, like around here, there's titles everywhere, isn't there? I'm fighting for a BKB title, but at the end of the day, it's just one of them things. It's not a prestigious title like the ABA champion. To be the best, you have to beat the best. And the ABAs, you are the best at that time. In Wales, I was the best at that time. In 2006, 2007, I was the champion. So, yeah, that's a great honour for me. And then obviously going over towards the Commonwealth Games and stuff, boxing the British Championship. There's loads of memories from the amateur boxing. Now, I mentioned the amateur boxing more than the professional game because the professional game's a business. The amateur game's a sport that I loved, and you get to, experience so many good things where the professional side is how many tickets can you sell. The promoters, all they're asked about, how many tickets you sell. I sold a lot of tickets my first few fights, but then I started losing love of the sport, and I kind of, still doing okay. Don't get me wrong, we're still training and stuff, but I was taking my eye off the game, and I actually ended up in jail. So that was the end of my boxing career, and and then obviously come out of jail. They won't give me my license back. So the only option I had then was, well, MMA. My mate mentioned me, why not go and do MMA? I was like, no, they're all crap. I'll just knock them out. It's just be too easy. And boy, was I wrong. I went to the gym and they just took me down into wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Got tied up into a pretzel. And I was like, oh my God, I got to learn this game now. Like, this is a different ball game, you know? So I stuck to that and I, really focused on that. But like I say, I probably missed my best years in jail. I did my prime, was in jail. I spent 3 years in jail, 28, 29, 30. They're my best probably, years in boxing, as a lightweight at that time. I think it was welterweight, lightweight. So yeah. So there you go. There's my story in that sense.
Yeah, that's the highlights. Well, it's a good job of condensing it down, because this is the thing I was thinking. I mean, your life, it's something you could write a book about or whatever, and it really is. And I don't say that very often, when I'm doing these interviews. And that's why I was thinking, how do we condense this down, into something that people can listen to in like 40 minutes? And that's part of my fun of how do we do it. With the jail thing, I'm not going to dwell on that from that point of view, but I would like to get your thoughts on it from the opposite side of advice for the youngsters, because obviously, you're teaching people, you're coaching people, you are a role model as a fighter. Okay, you made mistakes. Well, everybody does in life. That's the way it goes, and we learn from our mistakes. So rather than dwelling on what happened, I'd actually like to get your thoughts on, like, basically, if there's people out there listening to this, they're getting in trouble, they're going off the rails, or they know somebody who is, there's someone in their family and whatnot, what your advice would be for people to sort themselves out, basically,
Well, my advice would be, don't be selfish. Look yourself in the mirror. It's not only just you that it's going to affect, it's going to affect your whole family. Now, that was a big change for me when I went to jail, was seeing my daughter on the other side of a table once a week, growing up, a 3-month-old baby. So I kind of still a little bit hate myself for that, because I can never take that time back. And time is something you can't ever get back. Money, you can lose it, comes and goes. Time, you can't get it back. So I missed the most precious times with my little girl growing up, Talia. So that was a big change for me. So look in the mirror, like I say, is a big thing. And I used to look at myself in the mirror when I was in jail, brush my teeth, say, what a fucking knobhead. And I did. That's what I did, So yeah, don't be thinking it's all fun and games in jail. Don't get me wrong, it's not hard. It's not meant to. It shouldn't be hard. I don't think jail should be hard. If you look at the prison system in Norway, they've got like nice rooms. They've got a great less retention of coming back to jail. Whereas the English prison system, after 30, you're probably going to go back to jail. Most people go back to jail, but in Norway, it's a very high percentage of not returning to jail. So I don't think it's like lock away the key. And you hear people say it all the time. That's not the way to do it. People do want to change in there, but they need an option and they need guidance and they need a light at the end of the tunnel. If they think it's all dark, they think they're going to change, they're going to come out and do exactly the same things, unless they've got a big enough pull, like I had, which was my daughter at the time, to pull me away from that. Not everyone has got that. Some people haven't got no family at all. So what we're going to do to help them, you've got to give them an option. Maybe a story like mine, maybe people like myself going into the prison system and talking to them. Because like I say, when we had people come in, when there were people from university who've done courses and X, Y, Z, people would say, oh, have you been in trouble for it? No. Straight away, people turn off. But when they had people like myself coming back into the prison system, telling them about their stories and how they changed their life, they seem to listen a little bit. So I think you got to relate to people that have been there and done it. Like myself, I've got a story to say, and like I say, I'm not proud of it. I can talk about it, but not proud of it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's one of them things. But I can help people say, look, don't do it. It's not worth it. Whatever you're thinking, whatever you're in, what you're going through now, just change it, change your mindset. Focus on something positive, maybe start a business, maybe ask a friend for help into a job or anything. Just get yourself busy, get into a gym, even go to a boxing gym, pick up some martial arts, get in with a team, a family. That's what it's about. Get around good people doing the same thing, because if you're on the outside and you hang around people doing drugs, smoking and, drinking every weekend, guess what? You're going to be doing the same thing. And that's probably my best advice for that kind of thing,
Yeah, well, mate, it's powerful advice, that is. I mean, and just so you know as well, it's a big part of the reason why I do these as well. It is not just to talk about sports, but I always am getting lessons from people and trying to give those lessons back. It's actually the reason why I do it. So thank you for sharing that, because I got a lot of respect for it, actually, being on things like this and talking about things that are quite personal. And even though I'm used to asking the questions, I always respect people doing it, because for want of a better term, it takes balls to do this and actually to put yourself out there in, about personal stuff. So that's just me to you. I hope that helps people and touches some lives with what you said there, and I'm sure it will. So coming into the MMA side of things, yeah, I mean, you had to adapt to a whole new game, as you were saying, a whole new scenario there. So in the beginning, what was your mental process with that? Was it like, man, can I do this? Or was it like a pride thing of like, man, I've got to do this just to prove I can type of thing, Because when I interview people, they go through a process of like starting a sport, whether it's boxing, whether it's MMA, realizing they love it, like what you said about boxing, but then realizing actually, you know what, I can go far with this. Like, it's not just something I love. This is actually something I can pick up and, it can change my life. And they go through that mental switch. So I'm curious what happened in your mind with that coming from boxing into MMA, if that makes sense.
Well, I knew I was going to be I was an elite level athlete in the amateurs.
Yeah.
I would have been, for a fact, I would have been elite level professional boxer as well if I had the time. And, I didn't go down that, obviously, the dark roads that I went down. So I knew I had it in me. I knew I had it in my DNA to, progress and be what I wanted to become and, go as far as I could. And I feel like I kind of did. I had a couple of issues with training and stuff. Getting up to Manchester was hard all the time. So, we've got really no professional athletes in North Wales doing MMA. So it was kind of hard with that sense. So I couldn't get down to Manchester all the time. Obviously working, trying to provide for my family, build a business and try and get to train myself. So I couldn't go in 100%, probably went in about 60%. But out of that 60%, I feel like I did what I could do. And I feel like I did okay. I've fought on like KSW, Cage Warriors, ACB, EFC, all those type of top shows just outside the UFC kind of level and Bellator level. But I actually got offered to fight on the Bellator show, but about 4 or 5 years ago. But I went through some negative times again, so that kind of like put blockers on that. But like I say, yeah, I knew I could do it, and I could. And it's just like you say, I was doing it way past my prime. I was doing MMA. I started MMA at 31. What kind of person starts MMA at 31? Especially at my weight. The heavier weight's a little bit easier, but I didn't start till 31, so I had a long way to go. But I learned it quick. I studied videos. I'd listen to my coaches. I'd take all the advice on it. I'd only think about that. So I kind of become obsessed in that sense of wanting to learn more and do more and get better at what I was doing. Took a few fights where I shouldn't have, like 3 days notice on KSW. Fights I should have probably won. Got disqualified against Mario Saheed, which ruined my unbeaten record, which was a nightmare. But that flat fight went viral. Don't know if you've seen that one. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, I've had some good fights, good shows, and yeah, I'm happy with what I've done. So yeah, it is what it is. I'm happy. That's the main thing, isn't it?
Well, that's it. I mean, as long as you can look back and say, you did your best and you're proud of what you achieved, which, you should be, and it sounds like you are. So that's all anyone can ask, really. And I'm going to ask you the same question I asked about the boxing, your favorite moments. And obviously, with your favorite moments, it's one of those things where it comes in different forms. I mean, it could be anything from like a particular fight, like the fight itself, all the way through to, somewhere that the sport took you physically and, in terms of places you got to visit, or, it could be any type of thing, but just, again, with the fights, you packed a lot in with the MMA side of things as well, in all fairness. What are your proudest moments or your proudest fights? Can you narrow it down to one or two, or are there just too many with this?
It'd be between, well, my debut on Cage Warriors was pretty good because the fight I wasn't expected to win. I hadn't been training MMA long. I was fighting an unbeaten guy out of Next Generation who's a top gym, isn't it? Next Generation in Liverpool. On a big show in the Echo Arena, is it Liverpool? The Echo Arena, big arena there. Yeah. So winning that was a pretty good one because I say my manager, I didn't have a manager at the time, but my coach at the time, Colin Tanswell, God rest his soul, absolute legend of a guy. I told him, look, some guys asked me to fight on Cage Warriors, so I accepted. He's like, what? What do you mean you accept the fight on Cage Warriors? What are you doing? You're not even ready yet for that. I was like, well, I've took it. I'm ready to go anyway. I just want to take these opportunities. I'm 34, 35 at the time, so I need to go now. Now's the time. And yeah, so taking that opportunity, like I say, it's probably one of the highlights because then I got signed to Cage Warriors, and then obviously fought Mauzi. But look, unfortunately, Cage Warriors ceased to exist after that fight. They kind of went through a turbulent time, so they kind of went off the scene for about 2-3 years. So I lost that contract. Then I started fighting locally again, and then the best show I've ever fought on, and the best I've been to Commonwealth Games. That was amazing, but the best show, honestly, I swear, even better than UFC production, is KSW in Poland. Wow, it's absolutely insane. Like, you know, if I could fight again on any other show, it'd probably be that one. Absolutely fantastic show. But yeah, so those ones, and the best fight in MMA I had is probably Boyd Allen in South Africa in the UFC. That was a fight I won. I actually put him down, and the referee didn't allow me to finish him. And yeah, it was a great fight though. It was an absolute war, you know. So they're my best moments in MMA.
Absolutely amazing. Like I said before, I mean, you packed a lot in, first of all, and also, I love the versatility. I love the diversity, the versatility. What I mean by that is obviously shifting from boxing to a totally new sport at a late age. Showing the age is just a number from a certain perspective, you know. And I mean, I know obviously, being a high level athlete takes a toll on your body. You have to do certain things differently at different ages. But fundamentally, I think the age is mostly up here. And you know, if you set your mind to something, you can do it. So that side of it, pretty inspirational. A funny sort of question, but I'm just curious to get your thoughts on this. You know, when like coming from a boxing background, if it had to be getting hit hard or getting into more of a submission type scenario, they're not super comparable in terms of obviously they're totally different sports, but from a mental sort of toughness point of view, which one is actually worse? I mean, this is just a fun question for people, you know, be interested to know. But like, if it was like if you're getting caught in a choke or something like that, or if you're getting hit, you get what I mean with this one. Just a fun question. It's more for the fight fans than for the fighters, because obviously,
Yeah, I'll put it like this: a choke is the easy way out.
yeah,
You don't feel nothing. Don't feel nothing. Just it's like going to sleep. A punch can hurt. A punch can give you a concussion and hurt for days after. You know, give you bad, serious headaches, which I've had a few. I've had some hard fights where I've come home at night and my head is absolutely bang, like the worst migraine you can absolutely imagine. So yeah, I'd definitely take a choke over a punch in any day of the week.
yeah.
But I wouldn't want me leg snapped or my arm broke either, though. That's another submission. Though I'll probably take a KO loss than the arm getting snapped, because that's months again to repair yourself, isn't it? But yeah.
Well, yeah, it's just a fun one for like more for fight fans and for fighters. And even personally, I was curious because, like, obviously, I've done kickboxing and things. I've been hit and all that type of stuff, but like, I've never really trained MMA, so I was just curious, you know, with the locks and everything. And just a fun question. So, obviously, after everything you've achieved in MMA as well, you were sort of changing horses again by trying bare knuckle as well. So again, super adaptable. I think it's awesome, you know, like try your hand at a bit of everything. Same type of thing. I mean, first of all, what was the inspiration to switch into bare knuckle and give that a go?
BKB, just something I've been seeing over a period of time now. It's the next best thing to the old school days, isn't it? You look at the old boxing, 154 rounds bare knuckle before the gloves came. I just like something I've been fascinated in doing, and that's why I wanted to do it. And obviously, at the time, was it BKB? That's the show, isn't it? BKB.
Yeah.
It's a big show in England at the moment, so I got offered to fight on that. I thought, why not? I thought on all the top shows in MMA, boxing, why not BKB as well? Something I've done, you know. Not many people can say they've done all these things, but I can.
Yeah,
you know. So,
I love it, man. I love it. Just you see it out there, you thought, why the hell not? Let's just give it a go. I mean, that's
I'm a fighter at the end of the day. I think I'm from the old school though. I think the game's changed now. I think the game's it's changing. It's getting a bit like, oh, I can't fight him. I'm a mate of his, or he's got a bit of a tasty record. He's won 2 fights. Can't fight him. Like the old, that's why I like the ABAs, because you turn up the ABAs, you get drawn out of a hat, you fight. You know, I boxed in the first ABA I had was after 8 bouts. I ended up fighting someone called Tony Doherty from down your end. He had like 80-odd fights or something. You know, but I wanted to fight him. That's the reason why I went in that weight division, was to come and fight him. End up fighting him in the semi-final. You know, that's my mindset. My old school mindset is from Eddie Lloyd and Darryl. They fight. You know, we used to fight anyone, and I think that's how you learn. That's how you evolve. That's how you get better. You know, as long as you're good enough and tough enough. Not saying don't get not telling people to go and get overmatched, where you're going to get absolutely slaughtered. You know, at that time I was a good, even though I was a novice, I was good. I could handle with the big lads, so I could test myself. I wasn't scared of losing. You know, I'm scared of not what's the word? Progressing. staying still, going backwards. A lot of people I see now, they don't fight. They don't want to take any fights. They just stay stagnant. They don't improve. As a fighter, you want to improve. So keep pushing for those fights. Don't be scared of the L's and the losses, because that's how you learn. We emphasize too much on the losses, but he's lost them, or he's lost 4 fights. So what? He's getting better. He's still challenged himself. As long as he's not getting hurt and knocked out and embarrassed, then those losses are nothing. There, learning curves. That's how we should be. That's how we get better. That's how the game gets better. Because if everyone's improving, then the game gets better. You'll see better fights.
Well, this is it. I mean, it's unfortunately, all of this talk with like people, the best not fighting the best, and money getting in the way and all this type of thing. It does put you off. I mean, it's one of those things where I think, never mind like the fans watching and things like that, but I actually think it puts people off getting into the sport as well, because there's so much politics and there's so much stuff going on. And yeah, avoiding records. I mean, it's a whole subject. In your years in the game, you will have seen a lot of changes, good and bad. I mean, obviously there's things like social media now. People can get their names out there, and they can build themselves up, which has a good side to it. But it has a flip side where people can sort of talk their way into fights, and sometimes you think, well, actually, should they be there? Like that. So
with the Swan now, isn't it? I should be fighting the Swan, but like that to say, the game's changed, the game's evolved. With Jake Paul and these people now, they're coming through. But like people just like want to see freak shows, I think, now, because they're bored of, say, for instance, there's lads around there, they're champions. They've won 20 fights, never really fought anyone. But they'll fight someone from Manchester for a Welsh, British, European title. That's no one's really interested in fights to know they're going to win. It's just, I don't know why they do it. It's maybe for the ego or something. But like our show now, this show here that we're on, which is going to be good, we're going to get asked lads to out after the fight, call someone out, fight someone you want to fight someone that's going to challenge you, or people that want to be interested in. Like, I don't think people should be interested in this fight with me and the Swan, but they are. So it is what it is. So these are the fights that people want to see. Let's go and put them on. Let's put the show on. Let's put the fights on for people that people want to see. Let's change the game in that sense as well. Then I would rather old school way though, where Mayweather would have fought Hatton in his prime, and years before Pacquiao and Mayweather, rather than 10 years after it should have been. But at the end of the day, it's a business, isn't it? That's why I fell out of love a sport of boxing, because it is a business at the end of the day. It's not like the amateurs. You have to fight the best to be the best. And in this sense, in pro boxing now, you don't necessarily have to do that for a long time.
No, this is the thing. I mean, I've been around a lot of shows, and there are people winning belts and things off, well, basically off journeyman and whatnot and things like that. And, even with Floyd Mayweather, I mean, don't get me wrong, I appreciate his style. I appreciate his skill. I've actually met Floyd Mayweather, and since we're on the subject, and worked with him, and he came in with all the gold chains and all the stuff on him, and you think, bloody hell, he's done well out of the game. And so you can't fault that. He's come out and he's got his faculties and everything. But at the same time, I think he was, personally, just my opinion, not everyone will agree, I think he was one of the people that really steered the sport in the direction it's going now, with such an emphasis being on the whole undefeated thing, which is, personally, I mean, even if I'm watching him fight personally, for what it's worth, I really don't care. I mean, all the great fighters have lost, and it doesn't matter, does it? I mean, it actually shows he was in good fights, so I don't know. We'd be here until next week with all that stuff, and now it's changed. We need to talk about your gym, because one of the reasons I really wanted to get you on here, as well as everything you've achieved as a fighter, is obviously your gym and the ethos behind what you're doing as a gym as well. So first and foremost, let's talk about when you made the decision to open your own gym, because that's a big decision to make. Let's start there. Let's start with the inspiration side of it a little bit.
So coming out of jail, didn't have much. Coming out of jail, I needed to change my life. So I had a couple of qualifications from inside of jail that I got, which was good. I put myself into personal training qualifications, got them. Then came out of jail. I thought, right, this is what I got to do. I know how to keep fit. I've always been fit. I've always been involved in a gym, like in the sense of like boxing or whatever, being around that environment. So I thought, maybe there's something I can do. So I started on a beach with 2 people, personal training, and then became 4. And then I thought, I'll start a boot camp, 6 in the morning. 1 turned up, 6 in the morning, January. And then 4 turned up, and then 10 turned up, and then 15 and 20, and just built and built and built. And it was like, right, I need to find somewhere indoors now. So then I hired a gym above a pub, and then just built up a membership of like 60, 70. It was too big then. So had to find somewhere bigger again. And that's where I'm at now, in a big gym in Colwyn Bay. Built up to 150 members at one point. before the pandemic. We were really smashing it, really did, great things and helped so many people. Did loads of things in the community, did beach days for the community. We did so much, helping out. And that's what I wanted to put something back inside the community for what we built. And we was doing that. And then the pandemic hit and then just kind of went downhill. And now we're trying to build it back up again. So, sometimes you have to go through the dark times to get the better times. So hopefully we can build the gym back even better than it was before, So that's what we're doing now.
Yeah, well, I hope so. And I'm sure you will, because you've got a lot of support behind you. And even what we're doing here, I hope it helps the awareness of your gym, to be honest, even in a small way. I mean, it all adds, doesn't it? How did you survive the pandemic then, if you don't mind me asking? Because that was a rough time for a lot of industries, but especially for the fitness industry, it was a kick in the teeth for everybody.
A lot of people fell out on me over this one because I didn't close my gym. I refused to close it. At the time, I don't want to go into the conspiracies, and if you're on YouTube, you'll probably get cut off if I mention anything that I think happened, which I think most people know now anyway. But I thought, at the end of the day, if we're in a health pandemic, the best way to help people is keep them healthy, get them moving, keep them moving. If I'm fighting a disease or anything like that, I want to be healthy, right? So I thought, I'm not going to close my gym down and help people out. We're fit, young and healthy. We're not going to hurt anyone, which we didn't. Look at the way we're living now. If we go back to 3 years ago, you couldn't go to the shop, you couldn't do nothing. What's changed? So I kind of thought, I'm going to carry on doing it, and I did. So I kept my gym open, and a lot of people fell out on me over it. So that was kind of a negative side of it. But hopefully now they can see I was doing the right thing. My heart, look, I'd rather an honest person than a dishonest person. So I'd rather be the arsehole that's honest than a dishonest person. And I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I followed through what I did, and I did it. And I'm proud of doing what I did. I'm proud I stood up and said, what, this is the way it should be. Because look at all those guys in Parliament. Look at those guys who have parties while we're all seeing loved ones die alone. Yeah, all these things that happened. I'm proud I stood up against it. Not many people did, but I'm proud I did. So There you go. That was it. I carried on. I'm here now, still, like I say, trying to rebuild. I'm going again. I'm going to go again. I'm going to become bigger and better than ever before. Just takes time.
Absolutely amazing. Well, first of all, big respect on standing up for what you believe in, because it's one of those things where people don't do that nowadays, and I don't want to go off topic into all sorts of other things, but one of the biggest things that I don't like about the era that we're in is that people won't actually stand for their opinions, even because everyone's worried about offending people. And to be honest with you, I would rather hear an opinion that I don't like and I don't agree with. I mean, actually, I'm not saying this about you, because I actually get where you're coming from and I agree with what you're saying, by the way. But just as an example, it would actually be better to put it out there. Something, even if there's something that is quite derogatory or it is more bigoted or whatever, it would put it out there, and then people would say, okay, this is the reason why that's not so. Debate on it, put it back away. It might be a strange opinion, but it's just my opinion. It's like the internet is, everything being politically correct has allowed all this stuff to fester under the surface, but it's still there. They haven't got rid of it. They've just made it more insidious and more sort of, nasty when it does come out. Do you know what I mean? That's my
the world is getting weird. I can't cope sometimes. Sometimes I wake up and think, is this even really happening today? Like, the things I see online and the things change, all this woke culture, I can't deal with it. It just not sit with me well, I just, if you want to do what you want to do in your own time, go and do it. But forcing your views and your way of living and way of being on like even kids these days, it's just thing. I find it weird. I find it really hard to take. I find it hard to. I won't keep my mouth shut though. If someone's, I will tell them how it is. I will always speak up. I'll never, and facts matter. Facts do matter.
Yeah.
We're kind of forgetting that. It's feelings over facts. No, facts first. Your feelings we can deal with your feelings after, but just look at the facts of things. And I think cancel culture and that as well has ruined a lot of things. People are scared to speak out. Like look, and this is why I'm standing up against the troll. A lot of people won't, because they're scared of things of being cancelled, X, Y, Z. I'm not. I don't care. At the end of the day, right? If people cancel you, they're not your people. The people that are with you through the bad times and the good times, your people. If some bad times happen and you see people leave you, they're doing you a favor. I want to be around people that break me out of jail, not put me in jail. Does that make sense? Although it's just you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, big time. Because I mean, there's this saying of, you don't lose friends, you only lose like undercover haters or something. And it's just something funny enough, I did see on social media, but it's true because obviously, I mean, the way I look at it, and it might be, and we'll get back to your gym now, but just as soon as we're putting this out there, let's put it out there. The way I see it personally, right? Like if you think of it with your partner or with your parents or your family or your kids or somebody you love, not you personally, but anybody now, part of that is accepting that person for the good and the bad and the, this and the that. Obviously, cancel culture puts in the idea that if you don't agree with some part of somebody, you've got to cancel the whole person. Whereas it's like, if I think about everybody I love in my life and myself or people who appreciate me, I'm a long way from perfect, right? And obviously, the cancel culture thing is a very, very strange psychology because it's acting like people are going to be either perfect or you don't deal with them. And obviously, it's a type of bullying because then you're bullying people, the media is bullying people into their indoctrination, their view. And like what you were saying, I got no problem with them having that type of view or whatever is cool, like whatever. But it's the ramming down people's throats thing that's the problem. And it's even things like something like, I don't know, I saw this thing with Sam Smith, a singer Sam Smith, where he's on stage and the way he's dressed and his kids there and things. And I've got no problem with gay people at all whatsoever, none, just to put this out there on public. But something like that with the way he's dressed and kids being there, I don't agree with it. Right now, it's fine if he wants to do that. But then it's the line crossed of it's being rammed down people's throats as being, this is empowered, this is socially acceptable, this is that, and that side of it, And the cancel culture thing, I think, is just a bit just like a giant form of bullying. And I liken it to its own religion, basically, because it's like if you think about back in the day when people were more religious and people were afraid of God, like if you sin or something, God will punish you. Well, now it's like if you say something people don't agree with, then the media will punish you,
Yeah, well, you ruin your livelihood. That's it. You can't live no more. That's it. We don't want to feed your kids no more because we're the real good people. So we want to stop people going to your business, stop going to your gym, stop going to your cafe because you've got a different view to me. Yeah, it's fucking awful, man.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to breed more tolerance, like I don't care if I know somebody and and listen, even doing these interviews, right? Never mind friends or things like that. I mean, I've had people on there with massive criminal histories, people who've been in the military and done all sorts of stuff. Not that I have anything against that, but not everyone agrees. People who were like white supremacists or into like Nazi stuff back in there times and they've come through it. And I only interview people who've come through it, not people who are just putting it out there. But part of the reason I do this as well is to build that tolerance, is to show that look, it doesn't matter where you come from, you can grow into anything, and I mean, we're on the same page with this. But bringing it back to your gym, as soon as we're talking about the ethos behind things and we're talking about the meaning behind things, when you chose the name the People's Gym and in terms of what your gym represents, share with us a little bit about like the deeper meaning of what you're doing in that sense.
Right. Okay. So it was actually called Paradox Health and Fitness, the gym. Yeah.
Okay.
But now it's called the People's Gym because like we are for the people. It's like anyone can train without a gym. Doesn't matter where you are, where you're from, what you've done in the past. You're more than welcome. Like that's it. That's the reason why. Because like I like giving people second chances. Like I've had a second chance. In life, and I believe everyone deserves a second chance. So yeah, with the People's Gym, so you can be a judge, you can be an ex-con, you can be, whatever you want to be. You can come to our gym. It's for the people, and that's the meaning behind it. It's for everybody. In that sense, I want everyone to keep fit. I want everyone to keep healthy. As long as you've got the right attitude, leave the ego at the door. Obviously we need an ego a little bit. Don't get me wrong, but as long as you leave it at the door and you're listening to what the coaching and advice is, and then you're more than welcome to train. And as long as you put hard work in and help others around you, that's what it's about. That's what our gym's about. So, it's a good vibe in our gym. That's what it's about. Yeah. So there you go.
Love it. I love it because, this is the thing. This is the thing about fitness and about training that's beautiful. I think I said this to Dean in our podcast, actually. But, when people come into a gym, whether they want to box or not, or whether they want to compete or not, it doesn't matter. The beautiful thing is seeing people, and you'll know this better than I do, doing what you do. But like when you see someone come into a gym, for example, and I don't know, they're really shy, for example, they won't talk to anybody, they got social anxiety, whatever, train for a little while, and then, you see them, they start talking to people, they start opening up, they start doing this, or, people who getting over an addiction or whatever, you know, and they got nowhere to put their energy. You know, they come into a gym, they got somewhere to put their energy, they start feeling fresh, or they start detoxing. It's like you'll know this as a gym owner, but it's the intangible things, isn't it? Really, it's like the things you can't put like a price on, changing people's lives in that
Well,
way. And that's something I love about like what you do
yeah.
personally, you know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I've done. But I've actually give this gym to Dean now, so he's it's his gym now, basically.
He's running it now, is he? Oh, fair
Yeah,
play.
but I'm just helping him out because like I'm coming out of this kind of job. I'm going to I've got other plans. I've got other goals. I'd rather than put it out there, I'd rather just do it because I believe in sometimes telling people your goals is just like a comfort thing, and it's one of them. I believe go and do your goal, go and sort what you want to sort out, go and do what you got to do, and then tell people.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my mindset. Yeah, so I'm just basically helping out in the gym. So Dino's going to be taking over for me. So I'm just shadowing him, telling him, advising what to do at the moment and how to do it because I think he's a good coach, you know, and he's going to do well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, fair play to him. I didn't know that actually, but that's really cool that you're
Yeah,
giving people the opportunity. Well, I love it. I love what you're doing. I love what he's doing, helping the community, helping people, everything that you said, everything we talked about. Absolutely brilliant. So the last couple of things then, you know, because you know what people's attention span. So I'm surprised actually, because we'll be keeping it inside an hour if all goes to plan. And I thought because you've got so much to share, I thought we might be like hour and a half or something, but it's all good. Um, well, obviously, I usually ask people at this point about their future plans, and obviously, I understand you with that. There's something you want to do it first and talk about it later. I'm all for it, man. I'm all for get the results, and then what's this saying? Work hard in silence and like you said,
yeah,
make the noise, isn't it? So
yeah,
uh, I try and live by that as well. You know, I think on my social media, it's never, oh, I'm going to do this. It's just like, oh, Liam's done something, something's happened. Where'd that come
yeah.
from? And that's more like people's. It needs to be the same for you. Um, so I don't know how much we can talk about goals. So the other thing I want to touch on is other people you'd like to thank because um, no man's an island, as they say, you know, and obviously there will be people who've helped you along the way with everything you've achieved. Now, I always explain this by saying that obviously you know them and they know you, and in your life and in your community, you're together, working together. But
Yeah.
from outside looking in, like people watching this, people who've helped you are basically behind the scenes, aren't they? I mean, they're basically, you know, people don't know the good work they're putting in. So are there people like that you'd like to give a mention to or a thank you to?
Yeah, well, I was homeless about 4 months ago, so I had nowhere to go. I broke up with my girlfriend at the time, and I had my twins. So I left there, and a woman called Angela Crompton helped me out. So DJ Anne, she's actually a great DJ. She's on in Bulgaria right now. She's on Sunny Beach program. It was on Channel 4, I think it was, about 4 weeks ago. So people know from that. But yeah, she helped me basically, got me housed, rehoused. So she's really helped me the last 4 or 5 months. That's why I'm changing my goals, and that's why I've got other plans now. So I want to make sure I can do that. So it's just someone trying to call me. Yeah, so I've got to thank her. Got to thank my dad, my mum, helped me out. I've got to thank all the lads in the gym right now. All the team members. I'm not mention one because all of them are chipping in right now. We're going through a right transition right now. The gym's totally changed. The whole team's totally changed. Totally new faces. So I've got to thank every single one of them backing us. And I've got to thank, who else can I thank? So many people I can thank, you know. It's hard to say, isn't it? I probably all my old coaches as well, because, you know, without them, I wouldn't be the fighter I am today. You know, a lot of fighters don't really speak about who's helped them in the past, you know, like they kind of like, oh, they got a different trainer now, so they're the new bees knees coach, and the next week they got somebody else. Like, you know, they got no respect for the old coaches that helped them get to where they got. So I got to thank Eddie, Darryl, Steve Goodwin even helped me out with in Chester a while back for my defense and boxing. Carl Tanswell, amazing coach, probably one of the best MMA coaches that's ever been in UK. Sean Hammond Martin and Richie Dixon helped me from the jiu-jitsu a while back. So everyone that's helped me, you know, I want to make sure I say thank my little girl's up now. I'm glad. But yeah, thank everyone that's helped me in my past. So yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Well, I want to thank you for your time, and I want to thank you for, you know, being an open book and sharing so much about your life. Um, when you smash some of those new goals, whatever they are, if you ever fancy doing an update and letting people know what's happened, you're always welcome to come on. And I don't say that to everybody, but you know, there's certain people where I just like where they're coming from in here. And if you get what I mean, people who just got good hearts and they're coming from a good, like, you know what you said earlier, like, you know, you'd rather be the arsehole who's honest than somebody who's dishonest and nice type of thing.
Yeah.
That type of integrity, you know, you don't see too much nowadays. So basically, you know, with that in mind, you ever want to come back on, you're always welcome. But for now, thank you for everything you shared. I'll let you go because you've got family to deal with and everything. I will release this as soon as I can. I'll send you the link. You can use it anywhere you want to use it as well. So, you know, like I say, I hope it helps you with everything you're doing. And we'll just go from there, mate. You know, just stay in touch and go from there. Yeah.
Thank you, Liam.
No
Been a
worries.
pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the Simply Inspired YouTube channel, and there'll be more videos coming soon.